60 boats, 60 missiles, one U.S. aircraft carrier with 5,000 Americans on board. Iran's military planners designed this attack for one purpose: to prove that the most powerful warship ever built could be sunk in under 8 minutes. Here's the problem they didn't account for. The U.S. Navy had already run this exact simulation 1,400 times, and the answer was the same every single time. To understand why this attack nearly worked on paper, you need to understand the geography of a kill zone. The Persian Gulf isn't the open ocean. It's a tactical bottleneck that in some stretches is only 21 miles wide. This removes the U.S. Navy's greatest advantage, which is distance, and forces a 100,000-ton carrier into a space where it can be seen from the shoreline with a pair of binoculars. Iran's doctrine isn't about winning a fair fight or matching the U.S. ship for ship. It is about saturating the processor. On one side, you have a Nimitz-class carrier group carrying roughly 7,500 personnel across its escort ships, protected by the Phalanx CIWS, a weapon system designed to track and engage roughly 16 targets simultaneously. Standard missile defense logic assumes a high-end threat of 4 to 6 inbound missiles, a math problem the U.S. solved decades ago. Iran's military planners deliberately broke that math. They prepared 60 fast attack boats, launched simultaneously from 12 different vectors, with each one firing a C-802 anti-ship missile at the exact same GPS coordinate, the carrier's bridge. The logic was brutal and precise. If you fire 60 missiles at a defense system designed to cycle through targets in sequence, the deck becomes overwhelmed before the first weapon can cycle to its second target. This numerical assault was paired with a psychological operation designed to induce a fatal lag in American response time. U.S. satellites had tracked unusual movement in Iranian naval bases for 72 hours. But the IRGC had run this exact drill 8 times in the past year, always stopping just short of the engagement threshold. They were conditioning the U.S. crew to see a swarm launch as just another routine exercise, a cry-wolf tactic designed to create hesitation at the very moment a split-second decision was required. By the time the 9th launch occurred, Iran wasn't just betting on their missiles. They were betting on human complacency. This time, they didn't stop. As the first wave of 60 boats broke cover and accelerated to 40 knots, they transitioned from training pattern to lethal formation in under 90 seconds. The engagement clock hit 0, and the 8-minute window to total catastrophe swung wide open. And this is the moment Iran believed they had already won. They were wrong, because what the U.S. Navy activated in the next 4 seconds wasn't in any Iranian intelligence file. The Iranian plan was structured into 3 distinct, overlapping phases, each engineered to strip away a specific layer of American protection before the final, terminal blow was struck. Phase 1 was a masterclass in total sensory deprivation. The IRGC Navy didn't launch from fortified military piers that are monitored 24/7 by high-altitude reconnaissance. They emerged from civilian-heavy commercial fishing ports along Iran's southern coastline, hiding their heat signatures and movement profiles within the clutter of everyday maritime traffic, specifically to avoid satellite flagging until the very last second. As these 60 boats hit open water, they deployed a massive array of commercial-grade GPS jammers, purchased on the open market, tuned to degrade the carrier group's precision targeting systems and create a localized fog of war. Simultaneously, the IRGC launched 14 high-altitude decoy drones. These drones weren't designed to strike. They were designed to die. Their only purpose was to flood the carrier's Spy-1 radar screens with ghost signatures, forcing the Aegis combat system to waste its finite processing power on non-lethal threats while the real danger closed from a different vector. Phase 2 was the hammer. 60 C-802 cruise missiles, unleashed in a perfectly synchronized salvo. Subsonic, sea-skimming, radar evading, engineered to fly at 15 meters above the water's surface, inside the carrier's radar floor, inside the dead zone where surface clutter makes detection nearly impossible. For 90 agonizing seconds after launch was detected, the carrier's battle management system was processing 78 simultaneous threat signatures. Real missiles, Decoy drones. Fast boats, all closing at high velocity. On paper, this was the unsolvable moment. A data saturation event where the defensive computer should have buckled under the weight of the incoming information. But here is where Iran's intelligence hit a hard wall of American silicon. While their planners were banking on the carrier's systems struggling to manage the chaos, the reality was that the US combat system wasn't struggling to process 78 threats. It had already mastered them. In under 4 seconds, the system had automatically categorized every contact, prioritized them by timed impact lethality, and assigned specific optimized countermeasures to every single one. The Aegis combat system onboard the escort destroyers had already solved the complete geometry of the attack before the first Iranian commander could confirm a target lock. Consequently, Iran's Phase 3, where commandos were supposed to close in and board the carrier under the smoke of the missile impacts, never had the chance to launch. The trap was set, but the predator had already been outcalculated by a machine that thinks in microseconds. Stay with me, because what the US Navy fired in the next 6 seconds isn't listed in any public procurement document, and Layer 4 is where things get ugly for Iran. The carrier's defense did not respond with a single desperate volley. It activated a 7-layer defensive architecture where each tier was engineered specifically to destroy the threats the previous layer missed. This response transformed the Persian Gulf into a meat grinder for Iranian hardware, a soft kill and hard kill sequence that moves faster than human thought. Layer 1. The electronic veil. Before a single Iranian missile entered kinetic strike range, the carrier's EA-18G Growlers, already airborne on combat air patrol, unleashed a wall of broadband jamming. Using the ALQ-99 tactical jamming pods and the newer next-generation jammer, they didn't just block signals, they spoofed them. By injecting false data into the IRGC shore-based targeting network, 30% of the C-802 missiles lost their guidance lock instantly, losing their sea-skimming altitude and tumbling into the water 4 kilometers short of the carrier. Simultaneously, the ship's own SLQ-32 Block 3 system created a digital hall of mirrors, making a 1,000-foot carrier appear as 1,000 irrelevant blips to the surviving missiles. Layer 2. The SM-6 Intercept. The standard Missile 6 at $4.3 million per round is a 3-in-1 weapon capable of engaging targets at up to 130 nautical miles. The Aegis system prioritized the high-altitude decoy drones first, clearing the radar clutter so the AN Spy 6 could achieve a clean, high-fidelity lock on the real threats. Cost per decoy killed, $4.3 million. Cost Iran paid per decoy, $800. The asymmetric math wasn't in Iran's favor. It was in ours. Layer 3, the FA-18 Super Hornets. 2 aircraft, on high-alert combat air patrol since the initial threat detection, intercepted the fast attack boat formation at 12 nautical miles, before the Iranian crews could reach their optimal firing position. In a single high-speed pass, they unleashed a barrage of AGM-65 Maverick missiles. Each Maverick carries a 125-pound shaped charged warhead, designed to turn a fast attack craft into scrap metal with a single hit. 12 Iranian boats were neutralized before they could authorize a second salvo. Layer 4. The ESSM. 3 missile waves survived the outer kill zones and pressed inside the 10-kilometer defensive ring. This is where the Aegis activated the evolved Sea Sparrow missile. Unlike the SM-6, designed for long-range, high-altitude interceptions, the ESSM is purpose-built for this exact scenario. Multiple fast-moving threats at close range inside the inner perimeter. It can engage 4 separate targets in a single fire control engagement, with a response time measured in milliseconds. The surviving C-802s hit the ESSM in envelope, and found a wall of kinetic energy their guidance systems had no countermeasure for. Intercept rate 7 for 7. Layer 5. The CIWS Phalanx. For the missiles that survived everything before this, they entered the final kinetic kill zone at 1.5 kilometers. The Phalanx's autonomous tracking system required no human operator, no targeting delay, no hesitation. The M61A1, Gatling cannons cycled to 4,500 rounds per minute in under 1 second. At that rate, each incoming missile had approximately 0.08 seconds inside the kill zone. Not a single C-802 made it through. The phalanx didn't just stop the missiles, it atomized them. Layer 6, CRAM. The fast attack boats that survived the airstrikes and were still closing on the carrier's hull at 40 knots met the ship's CRAM system, a hybrid weapon that fuses the phalanx's radar tracking with the rolling airframe missile. A heat-seeking round capable of engaging surface threats at up to 5 miles. Unlike a gun, it doesn't wait for the target to enter a kill zone. It hunts them. In the final 90 seconds of the engagement, CRAM neutralized 11 boats that the FA-18 had wounded, but not destroyed. Layer 7, the perimeter. The last line of resistance was manned by Marine detachments on the carrier's sponson decks, M2HB .50 caliber crew-served weapons, and M134 miniguns, engaging the few surviving boats that had slipped through every layer before this. Exactly 8 minutes after the first launch was detected, the engagement was over. The final count: 0 American casualties, 41 Iranian boats destroyed or disabled, 11 limping back to port. Iran had just executed their most sophisticated swarm simulation against a live carrier group, and discovered that the US had already built a 7-layer answer before Iran had finished building the question. The smoke cleared over the Strait of Hormuz in under 10 minutes. But Iran's military planners weren't calling this a defeat. They were calling it a data collection event. And here's why that should concern you more than the attack itself. Every system that fired, every engagement range that was revealed, every layer of the US defense that activated in sequence, the IRGC Intelligence Division walked away with something the US Navy couldn't shoot down: a live fire performance profile of every weapon system that engaged them. They now know the exact engagement ranges of the SM-6, the refresh cycles of the SPY-6 radar, the precise moment the phalanx transitions from standby to active tracking. They know which layer activated in which sequence, and more importantly, they know exactly how long each layer takes. That data is already being fed into the next generation of Iranian asymmetric warfare. According to a classified DIA assessment from February 2026, the IRGC has already pivoted its doctrine around 3 specific adaptations, each one engineered to compress the US response time toward 0. First, hypersonic sea-skimming missiles, weapons that reduce the phalanx engagement window from 0.08 seconds to under 0.02. Below the threshold, any current CIWS can reliably intercept. Second, coordinated EMP pulses timed to blind the Aegis radar in the 2-second window just before the missile salvo arrives. A window of electronic darkness that even the fastest combat system cannot recover from in time. Third, but and most dangerous, the IRGC is moving the fight beneath the surface entirely. Autonomous underwater vehicles, AI-driven, deployed 48 hours before any surface attack, positioned silently on the seafloor beneath the carrier's path. This moves the swarm from the surface, where it can be seen and shot, to the deep, where the US carrier's energy shield is at its most vulnerable. Here is the asymmetric math that should keep every naval strategist awake at night. Iran spent hundreds of millions of dollars in 41 boats to purchase a live data set on America's most classified naval defense system. From their perspective, that is not a loss. That is an investment. The US Navy is not waiting to find out what they do with it. 3 programs in accelerated development: DARPA's Sea Hunter autonomous escort ships, the Navy's Helios directed energy laser at $1 per shot, and a classified upgrade to Aegis Baseline 10, are specifically engineered to close the gaps Iran just identified. The swarm attack failed, but Iran learned exactly what they came to learn, and as we showed you last week with the energy shield system, the US already has a classified answer for what Iran is building next. That video is right here. If this changed how you think about modern naval warfare, that's the point. Subscribe. because next week we're going inside the weapon that makes Layer 1 completely obsolete for both sides.